Lions are a 6.5-point favorite against Baker Mayfield and the Bucs on Sunday, 3 o'clock. Of course, they beat Tampa Bay 20-6 in Week 6 back in October. The Lions played that game, Braylon, without Brian Branch, without Josh Pascal, without C.J. Gardner-Johnson, without Jahmyr Gibbs. And they lost David Montgomery, I believe, early in the second quarter. They still got the win. How much can you take from that game and move forward in the playoffs?
I mean, you still played against certain guys on that team. You played against that offensive line. You played against Vita Vea, who's a damn good player. He's like a wall. You heard the guys talk about him. Played against him. You played against some of the wide receivers as well. Tampa's a different team, but to your point, you played against these guys head up, one-on-one. You've seen the matchups that you're going to have for the most part, so you understand what this team is, at least at their core. Now, you haven't seen how well they've been playing on offense in the last 5-6 weeks, really letting Baker rip. Like, that offense is potent with him, and they're even starting to run the ball with Rachaad White a little better. But with that being said, like you said, the key pieces that weren't in that game, no Brian Branch, no Jahmyr Gibbs. Look at the season Jahmyr Gibbs had after he came back from that Tampa Bay Buccaneers game. Look at the season Brian Branch has had when he's been in there. And then you talk about the guy who's a catalyst. He's the heart and soul of this team, not just the defense, the team, and that's C.D. Deuce, and he's back, and he's on full display. So I think they're a much different team, but it's still going to be uphill climb with this guy.
So one of the areas that this team absolutely has to get better at, but I wrestle with saying that because I'll tell you why. Over the last 4 weeks, over the last month, Puka Nacua, 9 catches, 181 yards, and a touchdown. Justin Jefferson, 12 catches, 192 yards, and a touchdown. CeeDee Lamb, 13 catches, 227 yards, and a touchdown. Justin Jefferson, 6 catches, 141 yards, and a touchdown. This team has been getting torched by the opposing team's number one receiver. Obviously, you look at Tampa, and the two most effective and playmakers that they have are their 2 wide receivers in Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Now, as I listed those incredible individual performances off, I do that and say the Lions were 3-1 in those games and probably should have been 4-0. So it almost feels, Bray, like they're letting the number one guy get off. Pause. But at the same time, they are doing what they have to do when it comes time in the red zone. They're not getting beat too badly. They're making teams settle for field goals. That's a really big part of that.
Welcome back, Ryan Ermanni. I knew it was in there somewhere. Pause. Yeah, this is very true. But the good thing, not the good thing, the other thing about that, Ryan Ermanni, as you look at it, they have other wide receivers that can make plays. You look at the teams you talk about Justin Jefferson, you talk about Puka Nacua, you talk about CeeDee Lamb. None of those teams had running games. Kyron Williams didn't run forth of anything when he was here last week.
And he got hurt.
He got hurt, but that's what I'm saying. Like they didn't have the running element. You didn't have CeeDee Lamb didn't get off against the Detroit Lions. You look at the running game of the Minnesota Vikings. It didn't do anything. It was all on the pass, so they never had to worry about the run game. Rachaad White, as of late, has had a really good last 4 games with them. He's averaging over 75 yards. And also, they got other players at the wide receiver position. Otten was a tight end, didn't play the first time the Lions played the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Otten is a damn good tight end. He dropped a couple passes, but he's made plays down the stretch. You also have David Moore. That's the guy with the speed. And then you also have Palmer. So they don't just have Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. They got an emerging running back in Rachaad White, and you got 3 other weapons outside of Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. So it's going to be a tall task for this defense.
There's nothing to laugh about on that defensive side either on that Buccaneers team.
Yeah.
Antoine Winfield Jr. and the rest of that team. And you get the kid from Pittsburgh, Elijah Cansey, who we had yesterday. We had TJ Reeves on. He does the sidelines for the Buccaneers. He couldn't have been any better at describing this team. He just kept naming name after name after name. They're all going to be all pros. This Antoine Winfield, he says he could probably get votes for Defensive Player of the Year. The kid is the real deal. The Lions, they got their work cut out for them. They're as good as Tampa. They're better. They're better. They beat them. But this is a different Buck team and, of course, a different Lion team. Both teams hitting their peak right now, and we'll see. We'll see what happens on Sunday. It's going to be a lot tougher. I think 6.5 is too much.
Yeah, the Buccaneers have definitely covered that spread. If I was a betting man, I wouldn't put it on the Bucs, the Lions to cover that spread. The Bucs are a damn good team. The Lions are better. Simply put, the Lions are a better team, and they still on the road too. You want to talk about the last 6?
And they're home.
You talk about the last 5 of the 6 that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have won. I think the Lions have won the last 7 of 9. So if you want to play that game, they're on the road too. I just think it is going to be an interesting game, as I said, because you have that going on. But at the same time, the Lions are ready for something like this. Pick up the blitz. Pick up the blitz. I think that's one of the things that they have a lot of success on. Todd Bowles, excellent defensive coordinator. They have a lot of success because teams don't come ready to pick up the blitz. Look at Nick Sirianni. That's why he's on full display, and how that defense was. Oh, my bad. I mean, Matt Patricia's defense. Look how that defense was. I mean, that offense. They could not pick up a blitz to save their life, and that's all they do. It's not like they hide them. It's not like they disguise them. They're blitzing 75% of the time. So if they can pick up the blitz, well, now you stall it off that defensive line. Now you give yourself a chance to beat them down, wear them down. You can't blitz when you're tired.
You know, I think all of us in this room, too, did not give Todd Bowles any credit for being named head coach at the end of last season, and he has coached his tail off this year. He has done more with less, I think, too, to bring that team together and ultimately win their division, the NFC South division, win a playoff game, and they come to Detroit with a lot of confidence. I think so many of us here locally in Detroit, I'll just say it, looking by the Bucs a little bit, trying to figure out if we're going to be home to the Packers or have to go on the road to San Francisco. I'm not sure too many of us are taking Tampa Bay seriously, and that's, shame on us, because that team has earned their spot in this round, and that team is playing for that quarterback and that head coach. Those two guys together, they're really playing for each other there in Tampa. And you may be right. This could be a dogfight.
Yeah, I mean, the story there is, Todd Bowles, he takes over. Look, make what you do good. Like, make what you do. Like, your side of the ball. As a head coach, if you're an offensive mind, make sure the offense is operating at a real good clip. If you're a defensive mind like Todd Bowles, make sure the defense is coming on. As the season went on and guys got healthy, Todd Bowles' side of the ball started looking great. And the great thing I love, too, is, Maz, you brought this story up. Todd Bowles did the same thing that Sean McVay did for Baker Mayfield. Sean McVay came here and said, we got 5 games left in the season. Look, just go out there and be Baker Mayfield. Well, you know what happened this year once they realized early on in the year? Todd Bowles just said, Baker, we got you here to be Baker Mayfield. Yeah. We brought you here to be Baker Mayfield. When you instill confidence like that into somebody that's a number 1 overall pick, somebody that's a Heisman Trophy winner, we've seen that same thing here in Detroit with Jared Goff. When you give somebody that confidence, they can do amazing things.
Absolutely.
So I think that's what you're seeing with that situation. But the Detroit Lions, man, this game was tailor-made for them. And Ben Johnson, Todd Bowles is going to be a fun match.
Hey, back-to-back games where number 1 picks, overall picks, are facing each other.
Yeah.
Last week, Stafford against Goff. This week, Goff against Baker Mayfield. It's really a great script the NFL came up with. I'm all in, man. I can't wait. I can't wait to watch these 4 games.
It's no secret. Look at the teams left in the playoffs. Jordan Love was a first-round quarterback. Matt Stafford was a first-round quarterback. Both the quarterbacks in this game were first-round quarterbacks. Mahomes, first-round quarterback. Josh Allen, first-round quarterback. There is no secret anymore. Ryan, you said that 2 years ago.
So one of the things that I'm thinking about here, too, with the Lions is, part of me feels like, I totally agree with you. This is probably going to be a close game. Yeah. But part of me feels like they're just going to blow the doors off Tampa Bay. And part of that is because of this release of pressure from Jared Goff and the offense. The fact that Jared Goff went out and really put some closure behind the way the LA Rams got rid of him 3 years ago, sent him to Detroit. This kind of trek on this steady incline here in Detroit. It feels like Jared Goff, I don't want to say is playing with no pressure, but Jared Goff is playing with house money right now, I feel like. And I think the Detroit Lions, in many ways, are playing with house money at this point. And I'm the biggest believer, and every year is unique to its own. You go absolutely win the championship if you can do whatever you got to do to win that championship. But I almost feel like Detroit is playing with house money a little bit here. And I think because of that free and easy feel to them, that they do have the monkey off their back, I could see a scenario in which they blow the doors off Tampa.
I definitely understand that. That was one of the things I think I said when we were talking to when we talked to the Hammer, talked to Jennifer Hammond. I said, Doesn't it seem like now that he has that off his shoulders talking about Jared Goff, that he can go out there and play with absolute confidence? He's never has to worry about a moment. But at the same time, thinking about, I feel like I lost my train of thought for a second, talking too much, because that's what we do. But this Tampa Bay defense, this Tampa Bay offense, this team is. Take it over.
That's all right. No, it happens. No doubt about it. Yeah.
You said the doors blowing up.
Yeah, I could see a scenario because of all the pressure.
I lose my train of thought every day.
Here it is. It just happened to me, man.
I'll never forget Maz interviewing Dan Miller 2 weeks ago. He kept talking to Dan, asking him questions. Be like, "Oh, Dan, I forgot what I was going to ask you." Did it twice.
He did it yesterday. He did it yesterday too. But
something about that desk.
The one thing I will say, the reason why I don't think it's going to be a blowout, I don't think it's going to be a blowout, I don't think they're going to blow the doors open, is because we're glossing over one thing. The Lions have done really well on offense. They've run the ball this year. They haven't been looking like that the last couple weeks. In fact, neither Jahmyr Gibbs nor David Montgomery went over 50 yards rushing. They didn't go over 100 yards rushing in the game. And just because we won, we ignored a major thing, Maz. How many points did the Lions score in the second half?
3.
3 points is what the Lions scored in the second half of that last game. That's not something to gloss over. So
that's why you need the lead.
100% you need the lead, but also that's where the running game comes in, and that's where the guys up front. All year we've been saying, who is the identity of this team? It's the guys up front. When Frank Ragnow plays, they're a much different team. They're the best rushing line in the league. I don't care what you say. Well, you got to go be that. You got to go beat those guys up front, Vita Vea, Kalijah Kancey, and Yaya Diaby. You got to beat those guys up front, because if you don't, this could be a long game.